Doors and take your final seats. Good afternoon, wildlife explorers, and welcome aboard the Wild Asia Monorail. My name is Matthew. I'll be your driver and tour guide. For your own safety and the safety of others, please remain seated at all times, with all body parts inside the train and off the rails, and refrain from eating, drinking, smoking, or vaping. The water is permitted. In the unlikely event of an emergency, there's an intercom button on the left side of your door. Ready to take a ride on the wild side? Excellent! Here at the Bronx Zoo, headquarters of the Wildlife Conservation Society, we're working hard to save wildlife and wild places around the world. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of Asia, with stops in China, India, Cambodia, Nepal, and Tibet, all without ever leaving the beautiful Bronx. We've just traveled 7,000 miles to the wilds of Asia. The majestic looking white deer are the Bactrian deer, newest members of our monorail family, relative of the red deer of Central Asia, highlighted on season 3 of the zoo. That's a baby Bactrian with the little white spots right there in the center. We're also looking at India's national bird, the Peafowl. All the males are both peacocks. Females are both Peahens. They get together and make baby pea chicks. They have free roam with the Bronx Zoo. You'll see them everywhere today, not just here in Asia. This hut tells an important conservation story. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Farmers in Indonesia live closely with wild animals, which we will see shortly. WCS field staff work with local leaders and farmers in Indonesia to come up with the crop protection plan. This unit created many different ways for farming to continue in close proximity of wild animals. Rope ropes and chili powder and place them around the crops. Elephants do not like chili and leave the farms alone, allowing the farmer and the animals to share the habitat peacefully.
We get far too close to fences and trees for you to put your hands outside the train. We all know that an animal that's extinct is no longer with us, like the dinosaur and dodo bird. The animals in our next exhibit were completely extinct in nature and could only be found in zoos. We're talking about the Mongolian wild horse, or Przewalski's horse. While there are genetic differences between wild horses and domestic horses, there are physical differences as well. They're shorter and stockier in build. They have an erect mane, which the fall between the eyes of a domestic horse. They're rocking the mohawk. They were born genetically awesome. The Bronx Zoo received our first herd in 1902. And today, over 50 foals have been born right here in the Bronx, New York. We're happy to report that Mongolian wild horses are being successfully reintroduced into the wilds of Mongolia and southern China from both North American and Asian zoos. We're now going to hear from Jonathan Slatt, our Asian expert.
Jonathan Slatt, I'm the Russia and Northeast Asia coordinator for the Wildlife Conservation Society. I believe that wildlife has a place on this earth. My job is to find practical solutions that allow people and wildlife to thrive together. Przewalski's horse went extinct in the wild in the 1960s. And on a recent trip to Kazakhstan, I thought about the ongoing and successful efforts in that country to bring these horses back to the Central Asian steppe. The world needs happy stories, watch the impossible become possible, and to see hope restored. That's what's happening today in Przewalski's horse.
As you can see, we give our animals lots of room to roam, as we're still in the Mongolian wild horse exhibit. But I'll be able to pinpoint most of the animals for you today, even if they're not necessarily in plain sight. It's not difficult to do if you'd like to try. To put yourself in their hooves and figure out where you would go for a shady spot to rest. for a little grazing time. When we reach the top of this hill, we'll be on the lookout for another endangered species known as the Gaur. That's G-A-U-R. Excellent Scrabble word. When we get to the top of the hill, we're going to make a brief stop to change gears. Please remain seated. We'll only be here for a few seconds. The Gaur are the world's largest wild cattle. While we're waiting to look at them, here's a word from their keeper, Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave, a wild animal keeper here in Wild Asia. When the Bronx Zoo received 2 female and 1 male Gaur from the San Diego Zoo, it took a couple of introductions.
Gaur is kind of cow. He's from India,
After a little bit of time, the 3 neat animals fully integrated into the herd, and we have the family that you see today. A family group of Gaur can consist of up to 40 individuals.
Right there.
Yeah. Adult female, the matriarch. Since the 2 females and 1 male have been added to this family, there have been a number of offspring. This is important because Gaur are considered to be a vulnerable species, so it's vital to maintain a healthy growing herd of the zoo.
The Gaur are the world's largest wild cattle. Males stand 6 feet at the shoulder, 10 feet long, and weigh 2,000 pounds. With their incredible size and horns, a Gaur can take on anything, even a tiger. What threatens these beautiful creatures is lack of an Asian habitat and diseases they catch from domestic cattle. Our matriarch's name is Trixie. We'll get a closer look at them on the other side of the meadow shortly. It's easy to forget sometimes that the Bronx Zoo sits in the heart of an urban setting. But shortly behind us, you're going to hear the roar of the concrete jungle, known as the Bronx River Parkway. The large wood fence in front of you obstructing your view is put there to keep back that traffic noise and help our animals feel more at home and calm. This is especially important since in the next exhibit, we're on the lookout for a tiger. Once again, please remain seated with all body parts inside the train. Look to the far right, this is Anakin. He's a 450-pound Siberian or Amur tiger. In the wild, tigers will eat wild pig and deer, and pig he will. He'll eat 40 pounds of meat in one setting, and then not again for 3 days. That's the equivalent of 160 hamburgers to you and I. If you ate 160 hamburgers, you wouldn't eat for 3 days either. Tiger stripes are like fingerprints, no 2 are alike. That's how we tell our tigers apart. And they're solitary creatures and prefer to live alone. That's why you'll only see 1 at a time on display here at the Wild Asia Monorail. We don't want them fighting over territory. On your next visit to the Bronx Zoo, be sure to visit Tiger Mountain. This is the back of our Gaur exhibit. As promised, closer look at the Gaur. Closer it gets to 5 o'clock, closer they get to the train. They go down under the tracks and sleep in the shelters behind us for the night. We're now coming up on the back of our first meadow. The little spotted deer to the right are called axis deer. Axis deer keep their spots their entire adult lives. We've exhibited axis deer since 1899. The little guys with the white bellies are Blackbuck antelope, smallest antelope species in Asia, fully grown, 2.5 feet at the shoulder.